I have been a huge lover of stationery literally my entire life. Even as a kid, when I feel like most kids were spending their a weekly allowance on like new Barbies and new toys and all those things, I was the one in the stationery aisle trying to collect all of the new Lisa Frank ink pens and journals and erasers, and that is something that has still stuck with me even at my big age today. There is no better feeling than opening up a new journal and getting started and writing down like a fresh idea. It almost feels like a fresh start to me. So most of the work and things that I do have always been on paper. Even in this digital world that we live in, where you can literally do voice notes and you can use your iPad as your planner and you have the notes app in your iPhone, I still believe that there is a lot of magic behind writing down your dreams, your goals, your to-do list, your tasks onto paper. But it wasn't until a few months ago when I learned how to use my journal system a little bit more strategically. And it not only helped me to be more productive, but this strategy also made sure that I was actually using up each notebook and not filling in a few pages and laying it to the side, or getting a new planner and only using it for a few months and then completely abandoning it. So today I want to take you through the 3 notebooks that are literally changing my life right now. First up in my journaling stack is going to be my daily bullet journal. So I got into bullet journaling about 4 or 5 months ago, and at first I started it honestly because I came across a lot of YouTube videos and I love the creative process that I saw that went into bullet journaling. I am not an artist by any means, but I do love to doodle, I love to color, I love to be able to make things my own. So I thought I would give it a try, and I did not know how much I would love bullet journaling. It has become not only one of my favorite productivity tools, but it has also become a really great hobby for me to like explore and dig deeper into and like really nerd out about. So I use this specific bullet journal for my daily planner and also my daily journal. This specific bullet journal is from Archer and Olive. I absolutely love this brand. I actually just purchased my second bullet journal from them as well. Just because, one, they have a size that I love. So this is the B5 size. It's a little bit larger than I think most people who use bullet journals would use. I feel like a lot of people use the A5 size, which is a little bit smaller. But because I knew I wanted to use this for not only like my planner, but also for my daily journal, I needed a larger size. Plus, I write big. Like, I'm a big writer. So I knew that I needed the space, and this I love it. So I'm almost through this one. So this specific journal actually has taken me through the first quarter of 2025, and then I'll be moving into the one I just ordered starting in April. But I use this bullet journal to, one, plan out my day. So I use it as a typical planner. So I will write out, of course, the day, the date, and then I will have space for my morning devotional. So I go through the Bible app and I write down like the scripture of the day and go through the devotional. Then I split my task into 2 different lists. So I have personal tasks for the day, and then I will have my business tasks for the day. And I will generally use the typical bullet journal key to like distinguish what I'm currently working on that, and during that time, which tasks are completed, which tasks need to be moved to a different day. And if you want to learn more like about the lore or the story behind what bullet journaling is, I will leave some links into the description below, because bullet journaling does get really deep. Like, I have fallen down a very long rabbit hole of all things bullet journaling. But I have figured out a way to really make this my own. So I start out the day with my writing down the devotional for the day. I split my task into 2 lists, whether they are personal or they are business tasks. And then I also will write out my schedule for today. So as far as tasks, I don't time block my tasks just because that's not how my brain works. But what I will do, if I do have any appointments or meetings or like anything where I need to know it's going to be starting at a specific time, I will write that down in like a schedule form in the bullet journal. And then I also use whatever space is left on the page after I have my list to do my daily journaling. So one of the things that I feel like I always struggled with using a typical paper planner is that I was kind of boxed in to whatever structure that planner came with. So if they only gave me space for one task list, I would have to blend in my personal and business tasks together. And again, that's not how my brain works. I really like for things to be separate, or some planners wouldn't give me space for like to journal. And a lot of planners, from what I have been finding online, over the past 10 years, are more geared towards people who enjoy weekly planning versus daily planning. I like to have my whole day on one page. So the good thing about bullet journaling is that I can make my own structure. And if I feel that something is not working, I can always change that structure to better fit my needs. And then I also can have my journaling pages all on the same page. So if I want to specifically go back to a journaling page and see what I was doing a month ago, I can not only see how that day was going, I can see what mood I was in, I can see what task I was working on, but I can also see what my thoughts were during that day. So for me, having everything on one page just helps so much. And I'm also not lugging around 5 different notebooks at a time, trying to keep everything together. The next journal in my journaling stack is going to be my commonplace journal. So the commonplace journal, from what I have read, essentially is just a catch-all journal for all of your thoughts, all of your ideas, and anything that you want to be able to go back and reference at a future date. So for me, I learn better when I write things down. I flesh out ideas better when I write them down. So I use my commonplace journal typically for new ideas. Of course, I will write down each step. I will kind of write things over and over again until it starts to click and make sense. I also use it for like project planning. So for some reason, putting projects straight into my project management system does not work for me. So I will typically flesh out the project on paper first, and then I'll put it in my project management system. I also use this for anything that I am learning. So I will take courses, I will watch YouTube videos, and I like having a space where I can write all my notes down in one area, and then be able to highlight different ideas that I want to eventually implement into either my life or my business. So that is what I use my commonplace planner or commonplace journal for. I know a lot of people, again, if you go down the rabbit hole of journaling and commonplace journaling, a lot of people will use their commonplace journal for quotes that they want to remember, maybe for sketches or doodling that they like, for song lyrics, for book reviews. So it's really just a catch-all place for anything that you want to just save and be able to reference later. So I got this specific journal from Target. And I love it. I typically will take this everywhere with me, again, just because it is a great place for me to write down those ideas while they're still fresh in my mind. And I'm not jumbling through the notes app on my phone, or having to, go through a bunch of voice notes on my phone to try to figure out where all my ideas are. I know that they are always going to be in my commonplace journal. So you're probably wondering, what do I do with everything once it's in this notebook? So I actually created a a day where I go through my commonplace journal every week and I migrate anything that needs to be in like my project management system. So I use ClickUp at this moment for project management and just keeping track of big business ideas, anything that I want to eventually turn into like an SOP or implement into my business. I will put all of that in ClickUp. So on every Sunday, I will go through my commonplace notebook for the week, and I will have already highlighted anything that I want to hold on to and implement into ClickUp. So I will go through my commonplace journal and take anything out of here and put it directly into ClickUp, and then that's where I can better structure it. You know, if it's a big project, I can set deadlines for it. So all of that goes into ClickUp. Again, yes, you could go straight to doing it digitally, but for my mind, I work better on paper, and it's so much easier for me to decide if an idea or a project makes sense before I put it in digitally to write it down. So that's just kind of my process for doing that. So every Sunday I sit down and I go back through my commonplace journal for the week, and anything that I have highlighted or want to hold on to or want to expand on, I will then put that into ClickUp. And it doesn't take long. I mean, I'm not writing 12 pages in this every week typically, but I also just make that a part of like my weekly planning ritual. And by the way, if you haven't watched my video from last week on how to plan out your week based on your capacity, I will leave a link for that as well. It's a really good video where we just simply break down how to plan out your week based on your actual energy levels. And last but not least in my journaling stack is going to be my reading journal. So I am trying my best to not only get back into reading at least one book every month. I'm starting off slow, but also documenting the books that I am reading. And to be honest with you, it needs to be updated. But my goal is to use this journal to write down any quotes, any big ideas, and of course an essential like review from all of the books that I am reading. I realize that I recommend a lot of books, but then I kind of struggle to say like what was the big plot of the book, or like what was one of my biggest takeaways of the book. And I feel like being able to track that in a notebook somewhere is going to be really helpful, especially if I want to go back and see like how many books I read throughout the year. It's hard for me to keep track of it if I'm just doing it mentally. And I also get books from so many different places too. So I love the idea of having one central location for the books that I read. And then I also want to be able to go back and say at the end of the year, like, what was my favorite book? What book would I go back and read again in the next year? So I'm trying to do better with using this journal to just track my reading progress. Again, I have not been perfect with it this year. I'm a little bit behind, but it is something that I want to implement. And I did make this separate from my commonplace journal because, again, this is more for ideas, for projects, for anything honestly really business related. I will even like flesh out video ideas in this, but I wanted to have something that was specifically for books. So I know if it's anything book related, I don't have to flip through the commonplace journal to find that. I know it's all going to be in here. And again, it's just been another thing that brings me joy, something else that I just find interesting and fun, and that I'm able to just kind of use a little bit of my creative juices, if you will. And I purchased this is actually a bullet journal. I purchased this bullet journal from Simplified. I think it's emilylay.com. I will leave all of the links in the description of this video for, you know, everything that I've been using. But this is from the Simplified company. I love the cover of it. It's a little bit smaller, so I would say it's a little bit larger than a typical A5 size, but it is not as big as my B5 journal that I use every day. So that is the simple journaling stack that is literally changing my life right now. I have felt so much more productive and creative since implementing this process. I know everyone loves digital planning, working on their computer, working on their phones, but again, I just feel like words and ideas and projects and anything that you want to stick flow so much better if you're able to put pen to paper. So I would love to know, what does your journaling stack look like? Are you an avid daily journaler? Are you using a daily planner? Are you using a commonplace planner or journal? I would absolutely love to know what your journal stack looks like. So leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit subscribe, because I release videos like this every week where we talk about how to make rest a priority as an entrepreneur and how to build your weeks based on your actual capacity level.